to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, not joined today by Rob, at least in this section here. So we got a bonus episode here for you, and it's Rob's birthday, guys. He gave the night off there. So we did record an episode here for you guys, going to air it at 9 o'clock here, but we wanted to go over also all the moves today. So 9 o'clock, we'll have the preview here for you guys on the the game coming up on Saturday here against the Texans. But the Giants made so many freaking moves today, it's not even funny. Like a random Friday, all of a sudden they're like, let's just make 5 or 6 moves at random for no apparent reason here. So we wanted to go over everything with you. And like I said, I wanted Rob to have his birthday off. So have that happy birthday, Rob. And like I said, we got you covered right now. So first move here of the day. Giants signed a running back, Joshua Kelley. Joshua's 5'11", 212 pounds, 26 years old now. And he's been at the last couple of years now with the Chargers. He was originally a 5th-round pick back in 2020 out of UCLA for them. Spent 4 years now with them. Last year, 17 games, 3 starts, 405 rushing yards, so a 3.8 yards per carry average, 2 touchdowns, 8 receptions for 32 yards, just a 52.0 PFF grade there on the season. Only had 1 season overall with over 4 yards per carry because just the kind of player he is. So he's really hard to take down. He's that kind of player, but not very good at making guys miss. Good vision, holds onto the ball, doesn't fumble it away. And, we've talked on this show forever about the fact that we joke around that Daniel Jones is our short yardage back. Well, basically that's what you got going on here is you got a guy now who can be that short yardage back if need be. We have a few, obviously, injuries there right now we're dealing with at the running back position. Tyrone Tracy's out for a little bit. We don't know if he's going to be ready for the start of the season or not, but at least it's not as bad as we feared it might be originally. You got, of course, Dante Turbo Miller had a mild injury he's dealing with this week as well. So, that's what they do. They bring in another guy at that point to make sure they have enough people to get everything going for the start of the season if need be. And you got a guy who's got experience. He's also very good on special teams. Even did return a few kicks there for the Chargers, but just wasn't very good as a kick returner overall. So I don't think that's the role for him. And the other reason he's gone, guys, let's be honest, is a regime change that's happened. So, the new head coach, John Harbaugh, brought in Ravens offensive coordinator, the old offensive coordinator for the Ravens there, Greg Roman, as his OC. And he brought with him J.K. Robbins and Gus Edwards, who were both with him in Baltimore. So, it's just a changing of the guards, and they wanted to bring their guys in. And, sometimes that just happens and, a lot of businesses there. So, like I said, we'll see what happens with Joshua Kelley, but I think at the minimum, he's probably a guy they'll keep on their practice squad, but depending on what happens with these injuries, he might be a guy you see at least in the start of the season here on the roster for a little while there. Next up, we also signed Raheem Lane, another DB, another guy from the Chargers there. So 5'11", 192 pounds, 25 years old. He's originally undrafted rookie free agent out of Indiana back in 22. He's got 11 games, 1 start, 7 tackles in 2 seasons with the Chargers there. And he's really just a special team contributor. That's where you saw most of the snaps there for him, probably 2/3 of them there. So, it's probably going to be his role there is a special teamer. It's interesting because we just talked a moment ago about, Joshua Kelley being brought in. Now they're, got Raheem Lane as well. So they're bringing in guys that with special team experience there. Makes me wonder, are they happy with what they're seeing in practice on special teams? Or, they just trying to have some guys that can possibly pop onto the practice squad when this preseason run is over? Or is that the plan? Like, let's get some guys for special teams because we're not doing so well. So, we'll definitely see there. We also got another defensive back here, Jonathan Sutherland, was signed, who's 5'11", 202 pounds, 26 years old. Another guy who's an undrafted rookie free agent, this one from Penn State last year. Had a calf injury that caused him to miss most of the preseason last year, and he was waived by the Seahawks with an injury settlement. They brought him back into camp this year, but was cut last week. So he did go also for a visit with the Broncos there. So it's a guy that is in demand, is somebody that that teams are interested in. So, nice to at least see that somebody else wanted him. We didn't just pick up some bum that nobody wanted there. But yeah, he's never played an NFL game though, guys. So we don't have really much to go on as far as what he can do in the NFL. Obviously, undrafted rookie free agent. You can't expect a whole lot out of guys like that necessarily. Once in a while, you get someone who surprises you and ends up, doing something, whether it's, role player or, once in a blue moon, you hit that home run with a guy like Victor Cruz. But, you can't expect that. So, hopefully at least can be a role player and a special team contributor. Maybe he's a guy that sits on that practice squad again. I think that's what they're probably making right now is moves of who they think they want to put on that practice squad, because there's going to be roles to have there. And there's going to be injuries throughout this year, guys. Like we know that. None of us want to ever admit that, but we know that. That's what's going to happen. It's NFL, it's football. It's the Giants. The Giants always have injuries. So like I said, 3 new players there overall. We also released today Jalen Mills, who, as you see in the picture there, those watching the video there, that still rocking the Eagles green on the hair there, even after being gone from the Eagles for a few years there. But yeah, he started camp on the non-football injury list. We really haven't heard much details on exactly how he hurt himself. Not that they have to release it for the season. You don't really have to. But we do know it was a calf injury he had. Adam Schefter's reporting that he should be coming off the NFI, the non-football injury list, here pretty soon, and doesn't expect him to stay as a free agent once that happens. He was brought in, obviously, to be the veteran leadership and what's very, very young secondary guys. So I'm kind of torn on how to take this, to be honest with you guys. Part of me is like, it's great that the Giants have enough confidence in this group that they're letting go of a guy who is, again, one of the very few veterans you have in this group. He's really now the only veteran. And, besides some guys that are towards the bottom of that depth chart there, but a guy who had a lot of, experience in this league. And we don't like to give kudos to Eagles, but he had a very good career in his time in Philadelphia there. Another part of me goes, are they just kind of getting impatient with him getting off this list? Is there an issue behind the scenes like that we're maybe unaware of? And maybe it's just not a fit with him. And that's more of an issue of what this is, as opposed to, an issue where they're going, maybe we do have good group. Maybe that's what it is. Impatience. Who knows? It's part of the problem with not being behind the scenes like that. You kind of find these things later on, but either one of those is a highly plausible possibility of what happened there to Jalen Mills. We signed him. A lot of people got excited. A lot of people thought this was a guy who's going to have a decent role with the team. Rob and I thought that basically he'd be a guy that we would put on the team and end up being a guy that you see moving around, in the nickel and dime coverages at that point, maybe run as a third safety. But yeah, his time has been cut short. So Jalen Mills off to free agency there. Giants are also moving on from Elijah Riley. So very short time for him as well with the Giants. He ends up with the reserve injured designation there. So what that means is basically it puts him on the IR and he'll be out for the season officially, unless the Giants can reach an injury settlement with him. So, they still have that option to do. That happens quite often. These guys don't really typically sign big contracts. These guys typically are guys that, they're fringe players at that point there. And if you're a fringe player and you think you can come back at the end of the year, you don't want to take that risk at that point there. But if he goes on the IR, his salary is $985,000. So if he thinks he can go back and play again later on in the season, he'll probably take less to try to go somewhere, hopefully land on his feet there and end up, a guy that has a, career for at least a few more years. He's still just 26 years old. He's played previously already for the Eagles, the Jets, and the Steelers. So he's been on a few teams already and hasn't really found a permanent home there. Remember, we signed him at the end of May as we released Gary Brightwell. And what's a little bit weird about it is we haven't heard much news on him on the injury front there. He did have a concussion last week. He was out from that, but, it seems a little odd to have somebody out for the year from a concussion. Don't get me wrong, we take head injuries seriously, especially, the NFL should nowadays, considering all the backlash they've had in the last couple of years there. But it's not often a guy gets one concussion and he's out for the year. So I don't know if there's something we just don't know in this scenario. I know he did have an ankle injury last year. He ended up on the IR towards the end of the year for that. So maybe that's an issue again. Maybe there's something we don't know as far as that. But either way, let's be honest. Elijah Riley was not a guy that you really looked at going, that guy's going to make the roster. That guy's going to make an impact in the team this year. So I don't think it's a massive loss. I really don't. But, kind of interesting there because you're bringing guys in, you're taking guys out. You look at what we have in this. You sign 2 safeties, you get rid of 2 guys that were playing safety. So, we're just kind of swapping people out now. So the big news of the last 24 hours, guys, it is very, very rare that you see the Giants make a trade with a division rival. Very rare. Especially when it's the Cowboys. And that's what they've done. They've gone ahead and traded Jordan Phillips along with a 7th-round pick in 2026 to the Cowboys for a 6th-round pick in 2026. So they gave him up for just moving up 1 round. Not even next draft, the draft after that. Like I said, extremely rare as it is to see a division rival with a trade like that. But it's even weirder to see what they got for him. It's like you got nothing, basically. You got barely anything, And Phillips was one of the rare veterans on our defensive line. You got Dexter Lawrence, you got Raheem Nunez-Roches, and you had Phillips. That's it. Everybody else is a guy who's late-round pick, undrafted free agent kind of guy that's trying to hang on and hasn't had a lot of experience in the league yet, especially when it comes to actual regular season games there. So, definitely a little crazy there. But Phillips also has been had trouble making his way up the roster there. He's, been playing mostly with the 3rd team there in camp. Not what a veteran really wants to do at that point. That's kind of like a telltale sign that, you might not make the roster even. Because if you're a GM, if you're like a guy like Joe Shane, are you sitting there and saying, let me keep this 31-year-old defensive tackle? Or are you keeping the 25-year-old defensive tackle? You're keeping the 25-year-old guy because you figure he hasn't reached his peak yet. Whereas a 31-year-old, he's starting to get a little bit downstroke at that point there, trying to get towards closer to retirement than he is to, reaching his peak there. The peak days are over. And obviously Jordan Phillips really had that one peak year. That's kind of what he's known for, is that 1 year he had where he had 9.5 sacks back in 2019. He's been now in the league for 9 years now. And he's got 24 sacks. 9.5 came in that 1 year. So that was just, a 1 year wonder at that point there, basically. But yeah, so now he goes off to the Cowboys. And I got to think this was a move that Shane and Dable did to help somebody they had a relationship with in Buffalo. That's where Phillips came from. So, they got to get this guy to a brand new home where he can get more playing time, work his way up the roster, because there's been some issues on the defensive line with the Cowboys. We get at least something for him. Even if it's not much, we get something for him. But I would have rather seen him released, guys. Unless Phillips went to him and said, listen, I want to go play for the Cowboys. Can you work a deal? Or cut me and I'll just go sign with them? Because if he said that to him, then might as well get something for him and trade him at that point. But it doesn't make sense that he would tell them that. He would just ask for his release as opposed to telling him where he wants to go. But I would have liked to see him just outright released potentially and see if he would have gone to somebody else instead of a division rival. Not just a division rival, but a division rival that, quite frankly, has just whooped our butts the last couple of years. And we're hoping to close the gap this year because I think they've gone down a step and we've gone, hopefully, up a step. But instead, what we end up with is a guy now that could potentially help them. Not Glocks. I don't think he's a lot left in the tank there, but at least a little bit there. And I never want to help a rival. Like if we've got even like a 5th or a 4th round pick, okay, this makes sense. But we're moving from a 7th to a 6th in 26. Seems kind of a pointless move there. The Cowboys, just for the record, also, since we're talking to them here, also signed former Jet and Bengal Carl Lawson today, though. So, very good player when he's healthy, but quite frankly, he's just never healthy. He missed more games than he actually played in his 3 years in the Jets. That's a little crazy. He played every single game in 22 and got 7 sacks. So again, he's a good, productive player when he's healthy. But he only played in 6 games last year and was out for all of 21. So who knows which Carl Lawson they're even getting at this point there. Who knows how healthy he's going to be, how productive he's going to be after having, like I said, another injury last year. But yeah, it's interesting to see these guys scrambling towards the end there, making moves in their defensive line. It should tell you something, Giants fans. It should tell you that the Cowboys, they don't like where they're at. They're not happy with the way their defense looks right now. And they're making changes to that line. And anytime you have a team that's scrambling towards the end to make changes, multiple changes at a position with guys who are track record veterans, not like bottom level kind of guys at this point, that tells you there's issues going on. That's music to my ears. Absolutely music to my ears, Giant fans, to go ahead and see that kind of stuff there. So, all righty, guys. So real quick, let's pay the bills, and then we're going to head on out of here. And like I said, again, we'll be live again. Live recording of the preview there we'll have at 9 o'clock as well. So, set your alarm for that, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time there.
Enjoying the show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
All righty, guys. So appreciate you guys watching here. Again, wanted to come on quick and give you guys all the updates and everything going on. If you haven't already, do me a favor, hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that share button, share it to a friend. As always, we are live every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do occasionally do something a little extra like we're doing here tonight because of some moves we had already pre-recorded. So, but hit the like, hit the follow, hit that subscribe. That's how you find out about these things. When these new bonus episodes and things happen, we have to come on and let you guys know. So, again, if you listen to audio podcasts as well, we're on there. We're on Apple. We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, all the big ones there. So audio, video, whichever you prefer, we're on it there. If I haven't mentioned it already, which I don't believe I have, by the way, we're also running a contest here on YouTube. So if you haven't already, hit the subscribe on YouTube so that way you can join this contest.
Enter to win a Daniel Jones signed jersey. Simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@2giantgoofballs, and email a screenshot to 2giantgoofballs@mail.com to enter. Only one submission allowed per subscriber. Monthly subscribers at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs will get an additional 2 entries. Contest ends when the channel reaches 1,000 subscribers. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited. This contest is not affiliated with the NFL, New York Giants, Daniel Jones, or any other person or company besides the 2.
All righty, guys. So again, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe, send that link in so you can get into our contest there. Appreciate you guys for listening in here, watching, and getting all the information from us. We know you got plenty of options where you can go ahead and get your your Giants news here, and you chose these goofballs. So appreciate you guys on that. Again, we'll be back on here for those of you guys who are watching live. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is the recording of the preview episode we did there for the the Texans and the Giants game coming up this Saturday here. So I will give you guys a little fair warning. We did talk a little on that about the whole Raheem Lane and Jonathan Sutherland topic there. But we had some old news in that yesterday. We just talked about the signing of Lane and Sutherland being in for a visit. So ignore that when that comes on. That's been updated here in this episode here. So appreciate you guys for listening in as always. And as always, Giant fans, go G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm